Hey everyone, so this is my first review video, so I'm a bit nervous. Please do not hunt me down and kill me. Okay, this is my first review and it is on the Punchline one-shot, or the first issue, I guess, of this magnificent thing. This was released about a week ago. I was going to do a review closer to the release date, but I did pre-order this. It just didn't arrive on the day, which is fine because it was a Sunday. I didn't expect it to, but it didn't arrive the day after either, or the day after that. So I uploaded something else last week and then this is a week late, but who cares? The same amount of people are probably going to watch it too. Hi. So spoilers obviously. So this one-shot focuses on Alexis and it explores her backstory a bit more about how she came to find out about the Joker and get so involved with the Joker and stuff like that. Harper Row is back and I am super excited about that because I haven't seen her for a while. It's nice to see her out and about. I really enjoyed that Cullen, Harper's little brother, was kind of at the forefront of this comic. Although it was a Punchline comic, we spent more time with Cullen than anyone else, and I'm glad to see that a side character is kind of being pushed out a bit more. So in this comic, it takes place after the war and Punchline is on trial. She, luckily or unluckily for everyone, has started a podcast, or she started a podcast before she met the Joker, about her feelings towards the Joker, about how she doesn't think people understand him and that he's not all bad and it's just a giant joke he's playing on everyone. She visits several places like Amusement Mile and Arkham Asylum to try and get closer to him, I guess, and to understand him a bit more, and she documents this in a podcast which Cullen listens to and eventually gets manipulated into siding with Punchline over his sister. A lot of people actually side with Alexis in the trial. She has a lot of supporters outside the courthouse when she's being taken in. Most of these probably listen to the podcast and sympathise with her a bit more. She also did like a live stream thing where she kind of put crocodile tears on and said that she is also a victim of the Joker as much as any other victim, even though she did horrific things. She's not necessarily to blame. Alexis in the podcast does come across as a genuine person. She kind of comes across as just a curious teenager that has this villain like the Joker and just wants to know more about him, which I'm sure a lot of Gothamites do. So her podcast isn't out of the ordinary. There's definitely some Joker sympathisers in Gotham that would listen to that podcast or do something similar as Alexis did, so she's not like an odd duck. That is something that I'm sure a lot of the younger people would have done in Gotham. Through this podcast, she actually meets the Joker for a second time. She meets the Joker for the first time when he takes over a TV broadcast station and kind of forces her to read out his grand speech. I'm pretty sure, yeah, Batman stops it before she can say anything, but from this one experience she becomes obsessed. She meets Joker again thanks to the podcast and learning more about him, and she tries to do Joker Venom herself but it doesn't really work and the Joker kind of calls her out on it. And you see her, she's very manipulative, and I love that she's just a genuinely evil, I would like to say. I don't know if evil's the right word, but whereas Harley was very much a victim, Alexis is, I don't know, like she chooses to do it. Like you can say that there's definitely manipulation on both sides. The Joker definitely manipulated her as much as she manipulated him. But in this one panel, I don't know if I can get a picture up of it, but let me see if I can find it in here. When they meet the second time, you can see the Joker's there it is. You can kind of see the Joker's intrigued by her and that she's manipulating him a little bit. I bet he knows what she was trying to achieve, but I just found that very curious and like, Just found that very curious that he'd allow that to go so far if he wasn't intrigued and interested in this new companionship. This video is all over the place, but I just want to clarify this. I'm not saying that Alexis isn't a victim in some ways. The Joker can be charming and manipulative, we've seen this with Harley, and he does this when he needs to get a certain way. But compared to Harley, Alexis chose to seek the Joker out. Although you can argue that he lured her in from the broadcast centre when they first met and that he knew what he was doing all along, she definitely had a choice there. I'm also not saying that Alexis doesn't regret getting involved with the Joker now and doesn't have guilt towards what she's involved in. I just think she's less sympathetic towards the victims than she lets on. Alexis is very much a character that knows what she wants, and I enjoy that. I enjoy the fact that she doesn't actually care and she just knows she wants the Joker, knows she wants to help him, knows she wants to tell this joke to Gotham. Side note, if you've read this one shot, I'm sure a lot of you will feel like I do and want a Joker fish plushie. Like, it would be the most horrifyingly creepy thing, but also cute, and I want one. The killing joke is mentioned, and this really intrigued me. Thanks to the podcast, she visits several places and she visits Amusement Mile, and I've got a quote. She mentions Gordon and Barbara and she says, "I can't help but feel like the joke was too good this time." And I remember reading that line and going, holy shit. And she also says, "Maybe you made the powers that be laugh and that made them so ashamed they buried it for all years." Fuck. So the joke here is the killing joke. It's a highly controversial storyline, but they obviously, to protect Barbara and Gordon, they redacted a lot of what actually happened in the police statements, and Alexis found these statements and thought that maybe the Joker's joke was too good and it made them all laugh too much. And when I read it, that little snippet, I was like, holy fuck. I know she doesn't know what happened, but shit. That just really, like, my heart was like, oh my god. I'm glad the comic didn't justify her actions. She's a curious teenager, sure, whatever. But there are so many curious teenagers out there that wouldn't seek out the Joker and help him in his tirade against Gotham. This comic also heavily mentions Gotham's lack of justice, which I really enjoyed, and the revolving door of Arkham Asylum. Alexis mentions that the Joker has broken out of the asylum several times and they can't seem to keep him in there. And Cullen mentions something which I actually wrote down. Cullen says, "It's like the only way you're allowed to try and make Gotham a better place is if you name yourself after a stupid bird. And Gotham sucks its shit out there and Batman hasn't done shit to stop it." Which is interesting to me because it shows that just because Batman can be this idol to a lot of Gothamites, he's also this villain because he hasn't really done anything to help them. The Joker could have been gone several times over and so many people's lives could be saved. The Riddler could have been gone, Scarecrow could have been gone, Poison Ivy, Harley, all of these people could have been gone, but he does his own brand of justice that doesn't work for a place like Gotham. And some of the residents are starting to see this, so I'm interested to see how they turn against Batman if they do that. Punchline mentions that the Joker is constantly retelling the same joke over and over and over again to Gotham, but they just don't get it, and I like that. I like that he's telling this joke to the city and they just don't get it, so he has to go, better kill more people. Like, I just like that she thinks that it's all a big joke and that the Joker is just misunderstood and not like other people, and that society is really the big problem here. I just like that her justification to these evil atrocities is an excuse. Towards the end of the comic, Cullen joins this crowd outside the courthouse where Punchline has been escorted into, of Punchline supporters. There we see another boy that's also involved who actually looks kind of guilty for getting Cullen involved, so I'm interested to see what happens with that and who he is to Punchline. And it kind of ends like that. I thought this was a one-shot. I didn't realise that we were going to be continuing, but I'm excited. 2021 they're releasing the next bit, which is a long while away, but I'm ready for it. I really enjoyed this comic. It fleshed out Punchline, but it also fleshed out Gotham, because we see the residents kind of turning against Batman, and also really glorifying the Joker, because to keep the school of fish that the Joker Jokerfied in a memorial type place for the victims of that attack is so disgusting. And they're selling merch, and it's just like, Gotham doesn't care who dies, they just care that they're making a profit out of these costumed vigilantes and villains. And that was really interesting to see. Although it's not a new fact about Gotham, it's just nice to see it worked into the story. I enjoyed Punchline as a character. Excited for 2021. Like I said, I just enjoy how evil she is. Like, I think I can justify her saying evil now, because no one would go along with the Joker willingly like this. Even his henchmen must be kind of manipulated in a way. Harley was 100% manipulated. I mean, she did a lot of horrific things for the Joker, and she's done a lot of horrific things without the Joker's influence. But if she'd never met the Joker, she would have just been Harleen. With the Joker in her life, she's a villain. Whereas Punchline, after the first meeting, she could have lived her life, but she seeked him out. And I enjoyed the contrast between those two origins. Anyway, that is my review. I hope you liked it. I hope it was at least kind of reviewy. I feel like it wasn't that reviewy, but whatever. I'm excited for Punchline number 2. If you want a review on that, let me know down below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And subscribe and click that bell to be notified, because I upload every single week. Any video suggestions, please let me know down below. If you've read this comic, let me know what you thought. Do you like Punchline as a character? I hope you're all staying safe out there, and I will see you next time. Bye everyone.